I'm guessing you read the title and might be wondering why I'm only doing a list for the first 3 seasons. That's because they're the only seasons I've definitely seen every episode in multiple times. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you guys that I hate all of post-first movie SpongeBob, I simply haven't seen it all. I have seen all of Season 4 and most of Season 5, and bits of the other seasons too, but I haven't watched it enough for me to want to give my opinion on it. I have seen bits, and I liked some of it, and didn't like some of it, so I would rather talk about my favourite seasons. The first 3 seasons I have seen a lot, and I mean a lot, and I love them so much. Not all of the first 3 seasons were/are perfect, that would be impossible for any show, but I think the vast majority of episodes within those seasons were/are amazing. SpongeBob is one of the most talked about cartoons on YouTube, and pretty much everyone has made this list already, so I'm going to be trying to keep this one at least fairly short. The rules for this list are no post-first movie SpongeBob episodes, and no movies. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to the video. SpongeBob and Patrick have to paint Mr. Krabs' house as punishment for causing damage to the Krusty Krab. The only problem is that the paint is permanent, and Mr. Krabs tells them if they get a drop anywhere but the walls, then he will cut off both their butts and put them above his fireplace. SpongeBob and Patrick, being themselves, get a single drop in the worst place imaginable, Mr. Krabs' first dollar. They try to fix the issue for as long as they can, but they only make the situation worse. The face of the dollar is sealed when Patrick uses it in a vending machine multiple agonizing times until it eventually works. The episode has plenty of gags like the vending machine, which is my personal favourite, Patrick running out of time cards, and Patrick's use of technology.
Wait, SpongeBob! We're not cavemen! We have technology!
Actually, thinking about it right now, Patrick was freaking hilarious in this episode. I mean, he usually is, but he has all of my favourite moments in this one. SpongeBob and Patrick take care of the Mermaid Lair while Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy are away. Big mistake as they unfreeze Man Ray, one of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's old villains. The rest of the episode is teaching Man Ray how to be a good person, and when he acts out, he gets tickled with a tickle belt. I'm not making any of this up. It's just an all-around great episode and contains one of, if not my favourite moment in the whole series of SpongeBob, that being Patrick and his wallet. Or according to him, not his wallet. SpongeBob isn't really a show you expect to get emotional. The only episodes I can think of that had a lot of sadness within them are this episode and Have You Seen the Snail? But that's a season 4 episode, so I will stop talking about it now. This being the only real episode that is truly kind of sad makes it unique, and that uniqueness is good because they actually pulled it off. Plankton wins SpongeBob in a game of poker after Mr. Krab bets him. A large chunk of this episode is just SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs missing each other. SpongeBob does get a bit of a revenge on Plankton though, through refusing to make a Krabby Patty until the chum bucket is the same as the Krusty Krab. Honestly, I didn't think Plankton was that villainous in this episode. He won SpongeBob fair and square from Mr. Krabs. That is until the very end, where Plankton reveals he cheated in the game of poker, which suddenly makes me glad SpongeBob put him for all the crap that he did. Also, Mr. Krabs doesn't own SpongeBob, so I don't see why he didn't just quit his job from Plankton. SpongeBob logic, I guess. It's not a big deal. I guess Plankton does threaten to rip out SpongeBob's brain if he doesn't work for him. So it does make some sense, I guess. Even though, by that logic, Plankton could just threaten to do that in any other episode. I'll stop trying to find flaws now. The song in this episode, which I'm going to call Greasy Spoon, since it has multiple names, is amazing. It's one of my favourite songs in the series, showing how much SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs miss each other, and they show that extremely well. SpongeBob and Patrick borrow, can you tell I'm doing air quotes, a balloon, but when the balloon pops they have to leave their homes since they think they are outlaws. But it turns out they stole the balloon on Free Balloon Day. Once again, Patrick is the best thing about this episode, thinking SpongeBob ate his chocolate, pointing out that fire doesn't make any sense underwater, and him thinking SpongeBob or the cops ate his lollipop at the end. The whole concept of two people as innocent as SpongeBob and Patrick stealing something is really funny, despite the characters being pretty sad throughout the episode. Making this list is honestly making me realise how amazing SpongeBob and Patrick duo episodes truly are. You know, like I just mentioned, the concept of SpongeBob thinking he's a criminal because he thinks he stole something is funny because of his innocence? You know that thing I just said? Well, Nasty Patty takes that someone innocent doing something horrible concept, and it ramps it up to freaking 11. SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs think they kill a health inspector, and they have to bury the body and get rid of the evidence. Now, if you only know general things about SpongeBob, you're probably thinking, Jesus Christ, that's dark. And yeah, it is, especially for SpongeBob. But it works, and it works because SpongeBob is so innocent and because they didn't actually kill the guy. My favourite scenes are just the ones with the cops. They are so awkward and uncomfortable. I love Mr. Krabs' knowledge of what to do too. Kinda makes me think he might have done this before. Ever wondered what an episode of SpongeBob would be like as a training video? No? Well, me too, but this episode is so out of the box ridiculous and unique that it's great. It's such a unique episode, just showing you how to be a good employee and how to be a bad employee. It had the hoopla gag, plus that great Krabby Patty secret formula ending. It's a fantastic parody on training videos, and it's an episode you really need to watch to be able to see the appeal behind it. SpongeBob and Squidward are working at the Krusty Krab at night. SpongeBob is enthusiastic about it because he's SpongeBob, and Squidward isn't enthusiastic about it because he's Squidward. Squidward tries to scare SpongeBob, so he quickly throws together a story about the hash-slinging slasher, listing all of the signs that will occur before his appearance. Unfortunately for Squidward, the signs start happening and start scaring him as much as the story scared SpongeBob, ending with them meeting whom they thought was the slasher, explaining why the signs that occurred actually occurred. The episode has the fantastic moments of SpongeBob saying, "at night," but without a doubt, my favourite thing about this episode is just how Squidward gets progressively more frightened. SpongeBob buys a brand new TV, so that he and Patrick can play in the box. He happily gives the TV to Squidward. Squidward is of course happy because he got a new TV, but SpongeBob and Patrick keep making noise in the box, and eventually he wants to know what all of the noise is about. SpongeBob claims all of the extremely realistic sounds were fueled by his and Patrick's imagination. It's presumably them making the noises of things like the avalanche. Speaking of which, my favourite moment is the fake avalanche. Hearing Patrick scream as if something horrible actually happened is hilarious, and it's nice to see Squidward actually worry about the two of them for once. This is yet another fantastic SpongeBob and Patrick team-up episode. This is the fan favourite episode of SpongeBob, the one most of you are probably thinking would make it to number 1. Now that Band Geeks is comfortably sitting in second place, everyone at this point probably knows what my number 1 is. Squidward puts out flyers so that he can form a band, so the band can play at the Bubble Bowl, because he wants to outshine Squilliam, a very smug octopus. I'm assuming octopus since Squidward is actually an octopus. It's true, look it up. Yeah, he has 6 legs. He puts together a band only for them to be terrible and to ask ridiculous questions such as, is mayonnaise an instrument? Shockingly, he realises there isn't any hope for the band that was quickly thrown together, and he gives up. He does go with the band to the Bubble Bowl and is blown away, and so is Squilliam, when his band is freaking awesome, singing Sweet Victory. This is an episode where Squidward actually wins. It's rare, but he definitely deserved it. I love how the episode has everyone from the town involved with the exception of Gary, whom I don't recall seeing. While Sweet Victory is amazing, I'm not as big of a fan of it as everyone else seems to be for 2 reasons. 1, it's a pre-existing song, and 2, Tom Kenny isn't the one singing it. Still amazing, yes, but I always prefer the songs the writers come up with. People will probably hate me just for saying that, but oh well. The whole episode is close to perfect. Turns out having Squidward as the protagonist for once is actually great. Patrick is amazing as always, giving us some of the most memorable quotes in all of SpongeBob. SpongeBob wanting to help Squidward is great, and him getting the town on his side with hypotheticals as if he were a fireman or some dude in an ambulance is fantastic. Plankton's here not wanting to steal the Krabby Patty formula for once, and instead just being villainous in the form of a question he asks. The whole episode is great, and Sweet Victory at the end with Squidward jumping in the air and Squilliam realising his defeat is extremely close to being perfect. I think this is the first truly good episode of SpongeBob, and shows off the SpongeBob and Squidward dynamic brilliantly, but I also don't like it as much as most people do. I think it is good, but I'm not a huge fan. This one and the next 3 honourables were extremely close to making it, and I had to get very picky in terms of deciding what would make it and what wouldn't. Rock Bottom is fantastic. Having SpongeBob on his own for the most part in a location that he and the audience is not familiar with could have been a huge failure. Luckily, they nailed the execution on this one. Another fantastic SpongeBob and Patrick combo episode. Patrick gets a job at the Krusty Krab. Very simple premise, but it's amazing. Also, this episode has one of the all-time best quotes, not just in SpongeBob, but in cartoons in general.
Is this the Krusty Krab?
No! This is Patrick! I'm not a Krusty Krab.
Squidward thinks he's sealed SpongeBob's fate by giving him a pie with a bomb in it. This causes Squidward to try to give SpongeBob a last good day alive. Should have just got SpongeBob a gift, eh, Squidward? Squidward refuses to eat a Krabby Patty, but when he does and he likes it, he refuses to let SpongeBob be aware of the fact that he enjoyed it. The episode is a great Squidward gone insane episode, where the bad stuff that happens to him is caused by him trying to protect his own pride.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
No, it's too easy to do that in a countdown. I'm guessing that every other list for SpongeBob has already done that joke in some form. SpongeBob and Patrick want to become entrepreneurs after speaking with Squidward and decide to start selling chocolate. That's the whole episode. Them just going door to door selling chocolate, and it's fantastic. SpongeBob for the most part consists of 10 to 11 minute episodes, and it's that short episode runtime that usually makes SpongeBob feel fast paced. This episode is a typical length, and it knows its short runtime because it does a joke and then it quickly moves on to the next scene. The more memorable homeowners are in multiple scenes though, like the old ladies, the scammer, and the chocolate screaming guy. Every joke told in this episode is perfect. No other episode of any show has made it so that every single joke in the episode is successful in me finding it funny, but this episode somehow made every joke land. Yeah, everything is perfect. The screaming guy chasing them, the old ladies, them getting scammed, Patrick saying, "I love you," him staring at the customer, the glass bones guy who then turns out to be the scammer guy again, them realising the screaming guy wanted to buy their chocolate, and the ending bringing back the old ladies. That isn't every funny moment in the episode, but those are the most memorable to me. That's me having to whittle down my favourites, and I still had to list quite a lot. If I had to pick a favourite moment, then it'd be the old woman's house, simply because it reminds me of my own grandmother. That scene did go pretty dark though, when the daughter didn't want the chocolate, presumably because she wants her mother to die, and not live forever like SpongeBob and Patrick said the chocolate would cause to happen. But I love it because of its darkness. Also, Mr. Lawrence has the best screaming voice ever. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Be sure to write your favourite episodes in the comments, and until next time, bye, I guess. Holy shit, I don't think I mentioned Sandy once.